to something rather different, and to the International Space Station, where history is to be made today. Sophie Adenot will become the first French woman astronaut to venture outside the ISS for a spacewalk, accompanied by the American astronaut Anil Menon. The feat then is to last something like 6.5 hours, and Adenot has been preparing for it for months, as Ellen Gainsford now reports.
These are some of the most recent photos posted on social media by Sophie Adenot from aboard the International Space Station. After final checks to her instruments and her spacesuit, she says she's ready for her spacewalk. She'll be the first French woman to do so. She's said to carry out repair work on the exterior of the ISS station. Along with the American astronaut Anil Menon, her mission is to replace a broken antenna which helps the station communicate with teams on Earth. The operation will take 6 hours 30 minutes to complete. She'll be 400 kilometers above Earth, while the ISS moves at a speed of 28,000 kilometers per hour. It's a physically demanding job, as Jean-Luc Chrétien, the first Frenchman to travel to space, remembers.
When you bend your fingers, you have to fight against the rigidity of the gloves. The suit is heavy. You can compare it to a football match that lasts 6 hours.
Before the walk, Adenot trained for months by wearing her spacesuit in a swimming pool and practicing her moves in a virtual reality simulator.
It's the holy grail for any astronaut. It is a dream of mine.
Dreams that can become nightmares, like for this Italian astronaut whose helmet began filling with water.
Hard to tell, but it feels like a lot of water.
Liquid started to fill his helmet, including at the level of his nose where he was breathing. He managed to stay incredibly calm, and that saved him.
In another symbolic photo, Sophie Adenot posted her astronaut badge, alongside that of Claudia Enyae, who was the first French woman to travel to space 30 years ago.
Well, we are a little over an hour away from that historic spacewalk, and to talk a little bit about what is ahead, I'm pleased to welcome to the programme now Daniel Neuenschwander. He's the Director of Human and Robotic Exploration at the European Space Agency. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us today here on France 24. Look, first of all, we heard a little of it in that report, but can you just explain what it is that these two astronauts are actually trying to do today?
Hi, good afternoon. What they are going to do, Anil and Sophie, is to replace an antenna which we need to communicate between the International Space Station and the ground. We had an issue with this antenna a year ago. We have, of course, a secondary pass, but now it's time to replace it. It's quite a big one. It's 1 meter 80 meters high in diameter. It's 90 kilograms of weight. So it's a big replacement to keep the ISS fully maintained.
Is it a risky operation?
I would say it's a challenging operation. Of course, every EVA bears certain risks. That's a fact. It's the nature of the complexity of the exercise. On the other side, Sophie has been trained, as you also mentioned, during months. I think she's definitely ready, and we are alert but confident.
And can you give us a sense as to what may be happening now? We are sort of an hour and a little bit before this gets underway, this spacewalk. What are the checks? What are the final steps before they make that historic step?
So the biggest step between now, at the moment we speak, until she will really go out into space is to get the full suit on her. For that, she will be supported within the International Space Station by Jessica Meyer, a fellow astronaut. It's quite a complex suit. It's quite heavy. So it's good to have a colleague helping you to get in, then to check the life support system, because once you're out, once you're in space, everything has to function perfectly.
You said this is a challenging operation, not necessarily, though, a risky one. How much of what Adenot will do today has she practiced for here on planet Earth?
So first of all, for any EVA, you train during months. It goes in 3 steps. We started here in the pool at the European Astronaut Center in Cologne to get familiarized with these type of operations. Why in a swimming pool? Because these are the best conditions we can reproduce on Earth in view of a spacewalk. Then a second step was done in the swimming pool in Texas, Johnson Space Center, where we have underwater the reproduction of the International Space Station. And the third step is what Sophie is going to do in a couple of minutes from now. She will have to get out into space, a fully new element for her. Every human being needs a couple of minutes to get familiarized with that. Then she has to grab herself along the ISS to get to the position where this antenna is, and then she will start to replace it with her colleague Anil, who he will be fixed on the Canada arm, on the robotic arm, while Sophie will have to go there by her own means. So a bit of additional challenge for her.
And so this is Anil Menon from NASA and Sophie Adenot from the European Space Agency. Tell us a little bit then about how the two space agencies are working together and why it's important to have European-American cooperation on this.
Well, I should say this is the DNA of the International Space Station. We work together with all the partners day to day. I would say there is almost no difference from which organization you come. You are one crew, you have one mission objective, and you are there to make it happen. So I would say it's really one crew working here. In operations, you forget about the issues on Earth, or I think also about conflict. Let's not forget that on the International Space Station, next to the US and European states, we have also Japan, Canada, and Russia. But on the ISS, we are interdependent. There is luckily no conflict. We have one objective, and this is what we are fulfilling. And I have to say, the work between NASA and ESA is excellent. It's also a proven cooperation since decades.
Just a last question for you then. Obviously, we are talking about repairs to the ISS today, essential repairs. Beyond that, though, is there anything on this mission that will help prepare us for the astronauts' next enormous project, which is returning to the moon?
Yes, definitely. Because every EVA is an opportunity to learn more, to get more experience. Up to now, we have 282 EVAs which have been conducted in the context of assembly and maintenance of the International Space Station. You may think it's a big number, but in fact, the sample is quite small. So in order to understand all the effects on the human body to operate in such a harsh environment, needs to be further developed, and every hour we get of experience of an EVA will help us on activities on the surface of the moon soon.
All right, Daniel Neuenschwander talking to us there from the European Space Agency.